So they assigned me this topic, growing organically, and I'm going to equate it to like bootstrapping, because we bootstrap all our companies. No outside funding, personal savings, work ethic, making the dollar stretch, things like that. So real briefly, a little bit about me. I am the youngest of 9 kids. I don't take myself very seriously, hence the mustache. I think people that delude themselves with a level of self-importance that drastically exceeds reality is kind of a laughable thing, and you see that a lot, unfortunately, in our society today. So I like to have fun with things. I snowboard. I race my car. Well, I used to when I had time. I married the most perfect woman on the entire planet. Sally and I, we've been married 8 years, and we're now expecting our first son in about 2 months. And thank you. And I mean it when I say Sally's the perfect woman, because she knew me in college, forgave me for all those sins, married me, and then 3 months later we went on this journey of entrepreneurism. And we've managed to not kill each other. So in 2003, right after college, I started a little web design agency up in Scottsdale called OB Web Technologies. And we did client services work, your bread and butter web development, SEO, things like that. Great business. We scale it to about 7 employees. Really decent high 6-figure revenue. But the service business really wasn't my calling, I think. I have an art background. I am not a developer or an MBA, so we'll put that into perspective. And I enjoy doing things, but not necessarily finishing things. Right? Because that last 5% of any project freaking sucks. It's terrible. So, about 2005 here, Sally came up with this idea for bestpartyever.com, which was like a social network for party planners. And we did some really innovative things with it. It basically had a lot of the stuff that made Facebook real popular around the same time. We'd like to say we invented that. And unfortunately, that one kind of went sideways. The revenue model didn't quite work. We put about 100 G's of our own money into it. I don't know, maybe it makes me $300 a month in AdSense just sitting there right now. So it doesn't always work. In 2006, we came up with this idea called Flare 9, which was essentially WordPress hosting. Because with OBU, we were charging 50, 60 grand a site, building them on WordPress. And as we grew by 2006, we had the same customers that we started with, the $500 customers saying, hey, we need help. Sorry, we can't help you for $500 anymore. Sally had the genius idea of, why don't we automate this website setup thing? So that was Flare 9 in 2006, which became the prototype for where we are today with Pagely. But it ultimately, timing was bad, and we'll talk about that. It didn't work out. In 2008, me and 4 other guys had this great idea, kind of hang out in a clubhouse, called it Gangplank. Derek talked about that earlier today. Is that guy passionate or what, Derek? He's a good kid. So I was one of the original anchors over at Gangplank. I still peek my head in there every month or so, but I'm so busy working with Pagely now that I don't spend the time I need to. So in 2009, we came back to this idea of Flare 9 and said, maybe the timing's right this time. So we blew the dust off that code, rebranded it, put a new UI on it, relaunched it. Fucking working. Okay, so this is a nice linear progression, right? But what does entrepreneur really look like? Okay, so this was basically my path. You have, in 2003 to today, there's a lot of failures, a lot of little successes, but you just got to grind it out and keep going. So that is pretty. That's reality. So this is what you're in for. So what is Pagely? It's managed WordPress hosting. We were the first to market on this. We exploited this empty space between an existing offering and an existing offering, and it was wide open. So we innovated the product. We went into the space. It's software as a service. It's everything you don't like to do about WordPress. We do it for you in an automated fashion. We got marquee clients, everything from Fortune 50 down to you. little, not to say you're a personal blogger, but everything in between. We're entirely bootstrapped, and doggone it, we're making money. We're profitable. And we're born right here in Arizona. And this is just my slide of success. There's 5 other guys in this room I know making $1 million a year that you've never heard of. That kind of started right here in Arizona as well. So we're talking about growing organically. That's what it looks like. It's not a hockey stick. All right? Those graphs you see of this little doesn't happen. So some of our clients include Texas A&M University, the entire city government, Arlington, Virginia, Boy Scouts of America, Vidler, Fee Fighters, a lot of Silicon Valley stuff. Simple Geo. Remember Schuster said they were an abject failure? That sucks, but they're still our client. Right? I took some of that $11 million, They needed a site. Right? So the key here is we did all of this with very little paid advertising because we bootstrapped this thing, and we're going to talk about kind of what that means a little bit. So see the disclaimer, sweeping generalization time. So don't take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. Why are you going to grow organically? Why are you going to bootstrap a company? Because there's not a lot of smart money in Arizona. No offense to the investment crowd back here, but really, they're investing in freaking land projects. Nobody's got their head in the game when it comes to small, sustainable tech businesses. They're all looking for that next Groupon clone or derivative, like Schuster said. And your business is boring. The fine print here is red, higher probability of success. Boring businesses work. Okay, you don't need to be disruptive to have a successful business. A boring business is, there's this problem, I'm solving it, and here's a margin. And that margin just keeps growing, and I keep making more money. Maybe I'm not putting Visa out of business or changing the entire defense industry. But, it's good enough for me. It's lining my pockets. It's paying my employees, providing their family. Let's get back to a realm of realistic levels of what makes a good business. A good business doesn't have to be that thing you hear about in Silicon Valley. And speaking of Silicon Valley, Arizona, it's kind of wicked. People suffer from head and ass disorder, mostly our government. All right. Okay, so sweeping generalization about the valley. You think the valley's awesome? I spent a month there this summer. I was fortunate enough that Sally and I and some friends, we just rented a house in downtown San Francisco for the month. This is what I saw there. The overabundance of resources, your Series C for your Does a Bear Shit in the Woods app will be an up round. Right? They will invest in freaking anything. Is that good or bad? I don't know. Personally, I think it's bad. Because I think they're missing the boat on a lot of good, boring companies. They may not have that, a company that doesn't have that huge 300x return doesn't mean it's not a good business. So I thought about this a lot over the summer. And Arizona has this climate that you may have heard of. It's hot. There's deserts. It doesn't get a lot of water. The tortoise survives here because it's slow, it's methodical. It gets stuff done. It knows how to store its fat reserves. Same thing with the cactus. It rains a little. It puts them in the bank so that when lack of rain, it can go on. The valley looks real pretty. First sign of an Arizona summer, those flowers are dead. All right? The rabbit, it's nice and fast. It's a lot faster than the tortoise. First time it hits a drought, that rabbit's dead. Okay, so Silicon Valley companies do a really good job of throwing shit at the wall, see what works. They have infinite amount of money, so they can afford to make mistakes. Real companies based out of here in Arizona, we have to learn how to survive. All right? So we're talking about real businesses here, so we're not going to build the bear awareness, poop awareness API called Grizzly Scat. And I guarantee some fool's going to fund that tomorrow. Right? So let's talk about building a real business. And, a lot of people are in that start stage, and we'll go through this kind of quickly. Before you have a product or service, talk about it. Show what you're working on. Repeat the above often, and don't forget to SDFU and listen. You're going to get valuable feedback if you talk about it. That old mantra of, they'll steal my idea, sign my NDA. You guys, you're not getting it. You got to share your passion in. You got to talk about what you're doing. You're going to get valuable feedback. And the way that worked with Pagely was, this is early days of Twitter, early days of Facebook. It was like, hey guys, look what I'm working on. What do you guys think? Give me your feedback. And by the time we got actually to launch 6 months later, I got my first 100 customers in a week because I had built up a little bit of anticipation. People already knew what we were doing. My social graph was already engaged in the product before it even was ready to take their money. So in customer 1 through 50, know yourself. You're your first customer. And if you're building something that you like, there's a good chance other people like it. But here's the caveat to that. Sally, with the idea with Best Party Ever, built what she envisioned would be the perfect thing for party planners and social networks and lead generation. Nobody else liked it. Nobody else. The market, we didn't understand the market well enough. That audience was not tech savvy enough to understand what we were offering them. So it ultimately didn't work. But I think it is a good general rule of thumb. Follow your instinct, know what you want, your customers will want it too. Your next 8 customers are your friends and family, your tight, close social graph, whether that's your office associates or maybe you're building a quilting empire. Grandma and your aunts and your 2 nieces are going to love your idea. They're your next 8 customers. And if you're doing a typical product, your next 40 or so customers are going to be your beta group, or you're mining your social graph again, kind of that next layer out. So your next big chunk of customers, really, your social graph is where you're going to find your customers. Because remember, we're dealing with bootstrap companies with no or very low revenue. You don't have an ad budget yet. So you're going to use things like Twitter and Facebook and your blog and events like this to spread the word. Just don't be a douchey salesman, but, talk about what you're doing. With the WordPress community, outreach for us was very important. Because we do WordPress hosting, there's some 30 million WordPress users. It was a good market to go into. But within that, there's about 500 core users or companies or advocates, you could say, that organize the monthly word camps, that they own other businesses in the space, like theme or plugin developers. And we engaged them real heavily early on. We built an army is a bad word. We built a good friendship with these other entities in the space so that they were kind of doing our marketing and our sales for us. Because if you're a small agency and somebody comes to you and say, I want WordPress, da-da-da-da, who should I host with? We want you to say you should host with us. So by making those relationships, it really worked out for us. So no matter what you're doing, if you're Mary Kay, if you're tech this, whatever, there's got to be a community that you can engage and know the hierarchy of that community. Know who the elders are and engage them. You don't have a lot of money, but maybe you have a little so far, so pick one significant something and spend real dollars on it. Here's what worked for us last year. Has anybody been to South by Southwest? Right, sick conference down in Austin. We called the South by Southwest organizers, Sally did. Oh, I don't know how that happened. I'm sorry. Can someone put it back? And, they wanted $50,000 to advertise on the side of the pedicabs. The little bicycle cabs? $50,000. You think I got $50,000 sitting around that I can just blow on an idea that may or may not work? So we got creative. Sally went and called every single pedicab company in the book in Austin, and we found the one guy that just happened to be like this broker, that he's like, oh, you want pedicabs for that month? Oh, yeah, sure, no problem. We can make that happen. He didn't have the inventory in his own shop, but he knew the bike company next to him and the bike company next to him had added inventory. So he took our money, which ended up being about $5,000, and took, $500 in his pocket, gave the rest to these other guys, and we had a fleet of pedicabs cruising through Austin. Everybody's like, whoa, there goes Paige, whoa, there goes Paige. My phone is blowing up with our customers. Our big, high-dollar customers are like, we made a good choice in you. We see your advertising everywhere. We were just down in South by. You guys are killing it. Yeah. Okay, so you got to be creative. So we blew our wad, pardon the French, on one big thing that had a big impact. Now, it could have not worked, but this one it happened to do. Start a referral program, and always iterate your product, Unicorn enhancement technology, whatever. Cox has power boost. Bullshit. It's a marketing term. Now, don't lie to your customers. Never. But get creative. Iterate. Say, now with more X. So you have something to talk about. So once you get up a little bit, maybe you can get covered in the press. If you're in the tech industry, keep dreaming. I'm the biggest thing in WordPress you've never heard of. I say that jokingly, but it's absolutely true. Because unless I take angel money, unless I move to San Francisco, unless I sell 30% of my company to some, put it nicely, investor, I'm not going to get covered in TechCrunch. I'm not going to get covered in Mashable. In our second year of business, we're closing in on $1 million of revenue. Next year, we'll kill it. No one knows. Because right. Thank you, Francine. But the tech press, they're focused on Boston and New York and Silicon Valley. And what have we already established? We're here in the desert. We don't have access to that. And unless you're, sleeping with the editor at TechCrunch, good luck on getting the press. Okay, but so now you got a few customers, so congratulations. You may finally have a monthly budget to spend on the old traditional PPC, banner ads, retargeting. I highly advise it. It may or may not work. So these next 10 points come from a blog post I wrote regarding our lean startup. And what was interesting is that post came out of our investor page on Pagely. If you go to our Pagely site and you hit investors, it says, investors, ? What do you think this is, Twitter? We have a real business. We make real money. No one's interested in that. And then, but then I rant for a little while longer, and I say, okay, now that we've kept our street cred, if you're really interested in talking to us, please reach out so I can then tell you no face-to-face. Not that I'm anti-investment. I'm just anti-investment on terms that don't benefit me. I've done all the hard work. We've done all the hard work as entrepreneurs. We may or may not need the money, but if you have revenue, banks may lend you money. Why do you need investors? So I guess the moral of that story is you have a little more leverage than you thought. Well, let me circle back. That got me to write this post on Lean Startup, which was basically our methodology. So, Hamid, I'm going to disagree with you. Free is bad. Sorry. You got to earn revenue on customer number one. Number one. Why? Because you don't have any freaking money in the bank. You don't have $1 million to go through with somebody else's money. You don't have a runway. You need to make money today. So, free promo offers, free trials, none of that exists in my business. Maybe once in a while around the holiday, I'll throw out a discount coupon for existing customers to re-up or something. But we had to make money on every single customer. And it's worked out for us because, revenue is a good thing. Do we all agree on that? Okay, so we had to automate everything. Why? Because people are expensive. Employees are really expensive. Employees with bad attitudes are terribly expensive. Really good employees are amazing. They're still expensive. Okay, so because we were a tech business and we were basically moving ones and zeros and doing software automation, we automated the rest of our business. I put my phone down, but I can run my entire business from my iPhone on a good day. I don't want to stretch the truth. On a good day, everything can be run from a dashboard app that I wrote on my iPhone. I can approve accounts, I can delete accounts, I can fix accounts, I can charge credit cards, I can see what my billings were for the day, I can answer support tickets. Automate as much as you can. And act as if you'll never hire anyone, ever. Now, the bad part of this is I spent 2 years working 80-hour weeks. And the last guy that was up here, Giles, was like, that's not a badge of honor. You're right, it's fucking not. It sucked. It sucked. But that's what I had to do to get the momentum, to get the ball rolling. And so I put in the long time, and I use this as if I'm the only one doing this, I have to be efficient with the business. I have to make everything run smoothly and efficiently because human intervention costs money. So today, 2.5 years on, Pagely essentially runs itself for the most part. You heard my little rant. What are you going to do? Spend 3 months trying to convince these gray hairs back here why your business is awesome? Or are you going to go build a business? Right? It's not as glamorous to say, oh, I just got $1.2 million in funding on a 3.8 pre, and look at me, I got a 5. No. It's not as glamorous. But I can tell you that if you forego the funding chase, especially in this state, you're chasing your tail, you're going to instead focus on building a real business with real revenues. And then, hopefully, someday they come to you or you go to them, and you have this magical thing called leverage. Hey, guess what? We got $1 million in the bank of our own money. I'll let you in for the ride. But if you go to them with nothing but a pipe dream, you're going to get some pretty bad terms. If you're going to grow organically and we don't have a marketing budget, you're going to be doing a lot of good old-fashioned beating the bushes for customers. Twitter, Facebook, your own blog, networking events, they only cost your time. You may not feel like you have a lot of time, but if you've automated things earlier, you may have a little bit of time to get out and engage with your potential customer base. There's no strategy here. There's no... I love Jay Bear, if you guys know Jay Bear, and he's really into like social media strategy and things like this and trying to find ROI, and I agree with him if you have money. But if it's just you trying to find a few minutes here or there to keep your social media presence going, be yourself. Be nice. Talk about what you're doing. Ask somebody else a question. There's no real strategy to it. Just engage. Spend the time on quality needs, not the wants. A prime example, my uncle, love him, ran a business 10 years ago or so. He's like, oh, we got this new space. We need all this new stuff. $900 air-on chairs, $5,000 computers, da-da-da-da. 6 months later, out of business. Pagely was built entirely on a 5-year-old Power Mac or MacBook and an old 19-inch Dell analog monitor. Up until the iPhone 4S, which I just got, I had my original iPhone. For the last 4.5 years, while you guys have been, look at me, I had this brick. Because I knew that $400 and something was better allocated somewhere else than having the newest phone or the fastest computer. And so many people get caught up in the trappings of appearance of having a successful business rather than having a successful business. So don't waste your cash. You don't have a lot of it. Be the best and price accordingly. Early on, I used GoDaddy as the model of the antithesis of what we wanted to be. If you've ever used their checkout process, who loves it? Come on, be serious. Somebody here's got to love it. No, it's freaking retarded, dude. It sucks. Right? So we use that as, we're not going to do it. We're going to make this 3 steps, super easy. And if GoDaddy's going to give it away for free, we're going to charge 5 times the running rate. GoDaddy was $1.99 for hosting. We were $15 when we launched. Now we're $20 on our lowest plan. Guess what? People bought it because we've presented a good core value proposition that these are the things we fix. These are the things we do better. And guess what? Quality costs money. BMW versus Kia. That makes all the sense in the world. You don't even have to elaborate. Same thing. If you position and if you truly believe in your heart, honestly, that you have the best product, charge out the yin-yang for it. Charge what the market will bear. So we have a $20 plan, a $50 plan, a $150 plan, and what we call the El Pollo Diablo plan. You'll have to see it. It's amazing. Okay, so educate your customers. If we're going to automate things and we don't want a bunch of salaries to pay for, we have to keep support volume down, right? So I take a very paternalistic approach with my customers. Why are you doing that? Don't push that button. Let me tell you why you don't push that button. Here's the explanation. Here's a little backstory. Here's how that bug came up. Here's how you want to get the result you need. And then they take that away and go, oh, I understand how it works. They become a happier customer, and their support requests go way down. So rather than just being 24/7 phone support, all the jazz that seems to be prevalent in the space, where they try to do all the thinking for the customers, I try to force my customers to think. And then if they have the question, we bend over backwards to help them with it. But I've found that we can support thousands of customers doing with maybe 10 to 25 support tickets a day. That's unheard of based on my arbitrary research. But I'm telling you, smarter customers love you because they're like, oh, it's so easy to use. You know why it's easy to use? Because they have a grain of salt in their head that understand they know how to use it. If you just push it in front of them and try to do all the thinking for them, when it breaks, they freak out. So we try to go a little extra and, kind of like father. Son, come here. Let me show you how to do this. And then you'll know how to do it next time. Focus and discipline. This is the bane of all smart, intelligent entrepreneurs. How many of you guys got ideas for a business? Other than the one you're working on. So do I. Everybody does. But somebody talked about pivoting too early. Yeah, stop it. You gotta give your current business just a little time to marinate, incubate, and work out the kinks. You gotta have the focus and the discipline to stay with it before you kick it to the curb and try something new, or you pivot too hard, or you want to try something else. I got ideas coming out of my head, and some days Paige is boring to me, but I got to stick with it because without the focus and discipline to at least see this one through, I'm going to have 27 unfinished projects, and not one of them is going to be successful. So, anybody play video games? All right, this is my last slide. This is the Konami cheat code. Okay, this is the secret. Everything what you just covered, I'm boiling it down into 6 here. And if you don't know what the Konami code is, you should look at it. So, number 1, work harder than the next guy. Why? Because the guy next to you is lazy. You should be able to dust his ass. Period. Put in the effort, put in the time. If it's 5 o'clock, you know you're working until 6. If it's dinner time at 7, you know you're going to spend some time with the family and work at 10. Pull another night shift. You have to put in the effort because the other guy can outspend you. But you can still outwork him. With passion, with efficiency, with automation. Don't be shady, GoDaddy. Don't be that guy. Because your reputation, especially in this social age, is all you have. The first time you dick somebody or you run somebody over or you do something rude to somebody, this whole room is going to know within a matter of seconds. Your reputation is toast. Everything that we've done, all the customers we have, they trust us because we treat them good. We don't pull the wool over their eyes. We don't jack our pricing up. We don't sell them things they don't need. Our upsells consist of 2 items. Common logic is get more upsells, boost your profit, do this. Do my customers need that? No. So I'm making the ethical decision to forgo a little higher profit margin by not being shady, by being a decent person. I'm having a better experience for my customers. Then treat them well, but don't be a patsy. I fired customers. I fired a $5,000 a month customer because after a couple conversations, the guy was still being belligerent and rude. I don't have time to deal with that. I like your money, but I don't like you. Get lost. Right? So bend over backwards, help them when they're agreeable, But don't be a patsy. I've answered support tickets. Hey, remember, we're both professionals here, guys. And you quickly change the tone of that conversation, make them an advocate, you're good to go. But if you let them steamroll you, they're going to steamroll you because there's bullies out there. Build, make, do epically awesome shit. It doesn't necessarily have to be awesome to everybody, but it better be awesome to you and your customer base. Don't settle for mediocrity. Don't put that extra feature in that's half broken. Either don't put it in or make sure it works. But it better be awesome, it better be good. Trust yourself above all else. I have advisors, we have advisors. Guess what? Their intentions are great. They're smart people, hopefully. You found good, smart advisors. But they're not you. They don't know your business. They don't see it every single day from the top down. So trust your gut. Don't take bad advice, I guess is what I'm saying. Finally, who here is a procrastinator? Okay. I'm gonna give you a life secret on how to break procrastination cycle forever. You celebrate every success, which in quotes means moving towards motivation. What that means is people that are motivated by fear, by pressure, their success graph is like this because they work hard, their bills are due, oh shit, I got to make money, hit rent, and they bust ass, and then they get their ass just out of the fire, get a little money in their pocket, and then they get lazy, come back down. And their ass is in the fire again, they keep going. Because they're only motivated by keeping their ass out of the fire. But if you're motivated towards something, like I want a better life for my children, I want this new gadget, I want a successful business, you're still going to have the ups and downs, but your peaks are always going to be higher than than the valley before it, because you have something pulling you towards something. You're towards another goal. And I look at that as celebrating every success. No matter how small, you're training your brain to crave that like an addiction. Hey, I made $100 a day. Hamid, what'd you make? He said he made $149 his first month. I would have blown $149 of it on booze and on a party. Whoa! We got a successful business. Yes, okay, we partied. Now let's get back to work and do it the next time. But every single success trains your brain to crave more success and pulls you ahead. So now next time you're procrastinating, the pain of doing such a task seems to outweigh the benefit. That's why you put the task off. But if you know there's a goal beyond that, well, okay, I just have to slog through this stupid task because there's a new booking of orders coming in next week. And that means I can buy a new Ferrari. Whatever. Use that to cheat yourself into moving forward and looking ahead. So